It's your job. I give you money, you give me ideas.
And you never say thank you.
That's what the money is for.
Wow, and that's what you call a good boss? New numbers show the majority of Americans would still rather work for a Don Draper than a Liz Lemon. Would you rather work for a man or a woman? Today's Money Talker panel is ready to jump in on this one. We've got lifestyle coach Samantha Edis, celebrity journalist David Caplan, and our very own Dennis Neal. More people would rather work for a man or a woman. Do you believe that?
Well, actually, this is a great news story for women because
it is?
Because if you look at the numbers, in 1953, 5% of people wanted to work for a woman. Now those numbers are 63% of people are very happy working for a woman. So it makes me wonder about those other 37% of the people. Are they, still using a typewriter?
Dennis, you're scribbling. You're scribbling. What are you doing scribbling over there?
I'm taking furious notes here. And we're supposed to actually declare which we would rather work for,
Which
a man
would
or a
you
woman.
rather work for,
I didn't hear
Dennis?
Samantha first. Samantha, which would you rather work for, a man or a woman?
Myself, I'm an entrepreneur. But if you're making me choose,
We are making you choose.
All
yes.
right, then I'll say a woman because you know what? The future is women. 57% of our college graduates are women. And so in the future, whether you like it or not, you're working for a woman.
So you basically would rather work for a woman because that's what you're going to be doing anyway. Gotcha, except you work for yourself. Well, first of all, let me just say, as my bosses here at Fox Business know, I just hate the idea of having a boss at all. I don't want a man or a woman, but overall, I would prefer women because men, they're just so hormonal. Men just kind of, they just go crazy on you. Men, if you challenge them, they see it as a direct challenge to their authority, and it's man versus man. They want to fight.
Yeah.
I think women are kind of less threatened by disagreement.
I don't know.
But I don't know. I think men though are less emotional than women. And I've had some like really intense bosses. I mean, my former boss was Harvey Levin.
Whoa, men are less emotional than
I think
women,
men
is
are.
that what you just said?
Yeah, I think men are less emotional than women.
They're
when you're in the
less
workplace,
emotionally in touch, right?
Emotionally in touch. I mean, I've worked for like these really like high-profile like bosses before. That's why I love this segment. Like I worked for like Harvey Levin from TMZ. We all know him. He's a character. He's out there, but it's still like bang, bang, bang. It's direct. Then other women that I've worked for.
You're putting him in the man category?
I'm putting him in the man category. And he may be watching this. If I want to work for him again, I better be nice. No, but seriously, like men are much more emotional. I've worked for high-powered women too, and there's just more drama. Sometimes there's more baggage.
Do you see how she turned what you said into an insult? She said women are in touch with their emotions.
I did see that. I wanted to be nice
You
there.
kind of like brushed it off, so I wanted to make sure you felt the sting of that.
But yeah, I don't know if they necessarily brush. I think men, the male bosses that I've had, they still have their emotions. They're still there, but it's not as like out there. It may not be as many jabs. And
I think you've seen too many like little movies. Or
I worked.
You sound like you're from 1953.
No. I tell you, one of my last bosses was like John Hamm from
Really?
Mad Men,
and how did you enjoy that? And
it was fun. It was comical. In fact, he even worked in the same building where Mad Men was set when I worked with People.
Really?
And it's a different thing. But I think fine with men, it's more you get a bit more of that open nerve ability.
Your evidence is quite anecdotal, right?
So I'm old school
And
here,
the bottom line is I worked for a couple of Hollywood bosses, both male, who are completely insane. It is really just about personality. Yeah, I mean, it's really about personality, not about gender.
Even more than that, I think it's about smarts. I want to work for a boss who's smart.
Absolutely.
And nothing's worse than working, as I did many, many years ago at several other companies ago, for bosses who are nowhere near as smart as you are.
I have to say, the first woman that I worked for fired me. So out of the gate, like I have a bias against working for women. Right there, I got. But why do you think it is that so many Americans, when it's split down, you ask them, 35% say they prefer a female boss, a male boss. 23%, only 23% say they prefer female, because either you guys aren't representing the majority, or there's some disconnect.
I think we want dad. I think we're a patriarchal society, and we still instill, as a people, more authority in a male figure than a female figure.
It's absolutely not trending in that direction. And if you look at the numbers, it's really, it's trending in the female direction. In fact, more than half of the people, more than half of people who have worked for a woman would prefer to work for another woman.
Let me ask you this. I mean, Marissa Meyer is somebody who gets a ton of attention as one of the highest profile female bosses out there. There's a lot of things she does that ruffle people's feathers and get a lot of attention, saying you can't work from home any longer. I mean, that caused this huge thing. And really, I mean, it seems pretty obvious to me. I mean, we've talked about this before, but people at home, I'm not sure they're working when they're at home. She wants them in the office. Would a man have gotten as much attention and heat and ruffled as many feathers saying that?
Of course not. But the bottom line is she was making a very direct, important decision at the time for Yahoo.
Was that very masculine of her to be direct? And you might say that.
I think that would be perceived as being a masculine trait, right? right? I'm throwing the perceived where they're like, you say reportedly. I think that would be perceived as a
I
masculine
think
trait.
it's a leadership trait. And so what we really need to be talking about is leadership traits. And when you look at men and women, the best leaders have the same qualities. And women probably have a little bit more of a three-dimensional quality to them, which might make them a better boss.
What do you think, Dennis?
I think that what Samantha said is entirely right.
I love you,
Are you
Dennis.
buttering her up? It feels like you're buttering her up there.
Yeah, do not objectify her and refer to her as a Thanksgiving turkey. I'm rather offended by that.
I think Dennis just referred to you as a Thanksgiving turkey.
No, I did not do that at all. Look,
I have very selective hearing.
Yeah.
look, I think that we're more comfortable with the way things have always worked. No one likes change, and female bosses are
Can I
newer.
see your BlackBerry? Do you still use a BlackBerry?
Do you think people are
I don't
more,
think you're using an iPhone, Dennis.
Do you think people are more comfortable with their same-sex boss or opposite-sex boss? And does that play into this? I mean, are you more comfortable working for a woman because you are a woman and you feel like you can relate?
No, I've had great bosses who are men and great bosses who are women.
Yeah.
It's really about personality.
Do we
in the
think
end.
that women bosses are tougher on female employees than they are on male employees because they see more competition? I got up here into this narrow niche here of being a boss, and you're going to try to take my job. Are they tougher on female?
Wow,
think
you're going to get a lot of hate
insecure
Twitter for
people are
that.
I asked the question.
Insecure people are always going to feel threatened, whatever their gender is.
See, I run into that a lot, exactly, because I'm so insecure.
All right, we had to go. You guys are fabulous. We're going to continue this in the future. Thank you. So before you blindly believe whatever you read on WebMD, know this. The company is getting paid to help inform people